What's good, folks, and welcome to another episode of the Cover One Film Room. I am one of your two hosts this evening, Anthony Prohaska, joined as always by Eric Turner. And Eric, based on last week's episode, we had hoped that this week's episode would be a little less contentious.
I know.
And nope, Bills
Yeah.
lost to the New England Patriots in a form and fashion that has sort of caused Bills Mafia to kind of eat each other, especially from a social media standpoint. But Eric, that's where we feel like, or we like to feel that we come in when it comes to narratives getting pushed out and thoughts and arguments on multiple sides. And there's validity to a lot of the thoughts that people have, on whatever side you're looking at, offensively, defensively, the rhyme and reason behind all of it. But here on this show, I think, Eric, these are the episodes that, for all the chaos that they potentially bring or, lead to, these are the episodes we really relish and enjoy. I love that RJ loves the intro. Yes. I like his other comment too that says also this season is just a season of pain.
We've seen it, RJ. We know you're struggling, and we're glad that you're here with us tonight to go through this therapy, brother.
Absolutely. And, and that's what I'm trying to get to, the therapy piece, but also just kind of putting things in the right direction in terms of, there's been a lot of war that's been waged this week on data and advanced metrics, but where we come in with this show, Eric, is we take those advanced metrics and that data and we pair it together with the film. The eye in the sky does not lie. The tape doesn't lie. We show our work every single day of the week, whether it's on Twitter or especially in this show when we're breaking down these pieces and these concepts and putting that whole structure and story together. And so this episode, we feel is important given the amount of buzz around the doomed nature of the Buffalo Bills, and we're here to break it down offensively and defensively. So an important episode for us here and for the fan base in the midst of all the darkness.
Yeah, it's been a rough week. I mean, everyone's looking for answers. I'll just start with that. Everyone's looking for the answers on both sides of the ball. And when it comes to the players, the execution, the coaching, we're all looking for the correct answers. And we want those answers, and we want this team to get back on track and really start humming like we know that they can. So I understand the frustration, that RJ showed right there, and he showed on social media with us, very engaging on social media with us. We appreciate that. And in the film room. But as Anthony, talked about, we like to show our work in here, and these glaring issues and weaknesses that have shown up, especially against the Patriots, we've talked about these things in the film room the last few weeks, especially when you're talking, games 5 through 7, aside and split from weeks 1 through 4. So we've talked about these things, and we've broken down that film, and we're continuing to see it. That's why it's glaring, because if you do not rectify the situation, the next team is going to go ahead and try to exploit the same thing, and that's what we're starting to see the last couple weeks, even with the Patriots offense that was downright terrible. Just downright terrible coming into the game, and they were able to move the ball against the Bills defense, one that we have been pretty high on and spoken highly of, for a majority of this year. There's been a couple games where they've had lapses, but as of late, that side of the ball has kind of let the team down. And we'll talk about the offensive side too, and some of the issues that they are dealing with in the, things that opposing defensive coordinators are attacking, and where Josh Allen and the offense need to get it right and get it right quickly, because teams, again, are going to keep continuing to attack them.
Yeah, and ironically or not, with all of that, what's kind of happened of, and we're going to break down those pieces, Eric, like you said, but all of that type of opponent from a defensive standpoint, attacking minded nature versus the Bills offense and dictating to them, that all starting to kind of trend heading into a week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are just Todd Bowles and just, I want to blitz. I want to blitz. Right. I want to blitz type of piece, and getting in creative ways similar to Mike Caldwell and what the Jags did. Mike Caldwell is a Todd Bowles disciple, and he comes from that tree. So it's, when you're facing opponents that can lean into that world in that aspect, but even if they don't, Eric, like you mentioned, you're starting to see trends and themes, and it's in areas that are easy to replicate for opposing defenses, and we're seeing it, there's no coincidence in terms of what we've seen these past several weeks in terms of the same kind of structural problems kind of rearing their head. And there is some individual execution pieces in baked into that as well, which we are going to break into and break down. But Erik, that's where the real cause for concern comes in. It's not just these one-off pieces that we're breaking down here on the show, where we're seeing it's continued trends, and it's
Yeah.
continuing to work in those same ways against the Bills, almost as if there is, that I hate using the word, oh, there's the blueprint out, but like there are some pieces that are being replicated
Right.
by opposing defenses. And, if we switch it and keep it within house for the Bills defense, like you said, a unit that we were excited about all year,
Mm-hmm.
we kind of potentially predicted and prophesized what this Bills defense would look like under Sean McDermott, and things were beautiful. And, not to kind of give them a pass, but it's been unfortunate to see what they've become the last several weeks. And it's impossible to talk about that without talking about, that coinciding with Matt Milano going down and Trey White going down and Daniel
Yeah.
Jones going down, and Ed Oliver is out for, this past game. And there's been injuries and just problems from a depth perspective and top quality perspective. But, oh God, that
Yeah.
breaks my heart. Erik is, for the audio listeners, Erik has pulled up a graphic on Twitter from Next Gen Stats. And yeah, this Bills defense has struggled the past several weeks. And this graphic highlights, one of the particular areas that they've struggled. And I wonder if it's an area we're going to talk about tonight.
Yeah, of course. Not having Matt Milano, the matchup linebacker, has definitely hurt the Bills defense, especially over the middle of the field, as you can see on this graphic. And, at the first level too, though, you got to talk about guys like Daquan Jones. And like you
Yep.
said, Ed Oliver, not having those guys. Rousseau I'm surprised he's even playing. That's how injured he is.
Yeah.
Not having the front line to create that pressure, create that chaos, that disruption, to kind of throw things into array for opposing offenses, and then having Matt Milano be that playmaker at that second level, cleaning things up, shutting things down, on top of obviously, Trey White being gone. So yes, you have to, mention the injuries. The injuries are a huge issue, and we expect a drop off. Do we expect this much of a drop off? Probably not.
Yeah.
But it's time for that, those depth players to step up and make some more plays, because if you look at some of the Bills defense, in the first 4 weeks here in this tweet, the blitz percentage was 15.3%. That was 31st. So they weren't blitzing a lot, but their pressure percentage was 37.9%. That was 10th. Now, as of week 5 through 7, the blitz percentage was 30.3%, 15th overall, and the pressure percentage was 35%, 15th. So you can see that, that little drop off there, and how they've had to blitz a little more and send an extra guy, not just in the passing game, but we saw it a lot in the run game in this one as well. And we talked about this over the last few years, where sometimes, the defensive coordinator, Frazier or McDermott, they're calling run blitzes, which are a little different than an actual pass blitz, a schemed pass blitz. You're seeing a lot of run blitzes to help, again, shut down the run. We're seeing some of these explosive runs. So they send these run blitzes to gap out, and then all of a sudden you're seeing Mac Jones pull it down and throw it, and so you're still getting caught in a blitz. Now you're in a zone blitz. There's a lot of area behind them. They don't have the playmakers to make up for it. You're seeing some of those minor things become magnified and bigger issues.
Absolutely. And I think I'm thinking of, like, I think it was a 2021 season. One of the episodes going into Bills versus Patriots, or coming out of it, that we did here, we talked about how Mac Jones was like the highest blitz quarterback in the league. And it wasn't because of the passing attack. It was because they were such a heavy run team, and teams were using run blitzes against them. And we saw that piece rear its head in this game, like the amount of run blitzes that the Bills were bringing, and then how they would get caught out in the pass with it, but more just having to bring them to defeat the run, because a lot of times just doing it with their regular, 4 down or their light boxes, wasn't getting the job done. We were talking offline, it wasn't as bad as potentially it may have seemed initially. Like, my immediate takeaway from, watching the game on broadcast was the front four just got annihilated. And there were several reps on the interior where guys got moved and displaced very heavily, but there were also some positive reps. Poona Ford flashed in several ways on a lot of reps inside. He's somebody who's come under fire a lot recently from Bills fans.
And that's not fair. Real quick, that's not fair. Let's clear that up, because yes, we were excited about Poona Ford, but not in this. He's not the same type of nose tackle that Daquan Jones is. Let's
No.
get that right out of the way. He's more of that. Like, I just remember calling him a rock. Like, good luck trying to move him. He's more of a space eater. I'm going to anchor down here. He's not a penetrator. He's not a guy that wins with burst and then can convert to power, or vice versa. Daquan Jones was playing at an all-pro level. Like, there's no way you're going to just, bring a depth player in and not have a drop off. And especially if you're talking about the different type of traits that those two guys share or
Yeah, and
have,
especially absolutely, and especially for the year Daquan was having, like, he came in and we were pumped because it was like, oh man, you have somebody who can
Mhm.
work against double teams and hold his ground and be an anchor against the run. And then here comes Daquan Jones just showing pass rush pop and moves. And before he went down, he was 7th in pass rush productivity amongst all defensive linemen, interior and edge players. What he added against the pass and against the run, I'm right there with you. He was on an all-pro pace. You're
Yeah.
not just going to replace that with a depth level guy. But yeah, Poona Ford had, some flashes in this game, but that's really kind of what you're leaning to with those depth guys, is playing to their strengths more in those flashes. And also too, like, I saw a lot of takes of like, oh, of course, like horrible draft picks and free agent additions by Bean not coming through. What team
Yeah.
loses their starting 2 defensive tackles and it doesn't affect them? Like, what team loses their starting 2 defensive tackles, their all-pro linebacker, their all-pro corner when he's healthy, loses all those guys and is like, oh yeah, it doesn't affect us at all.
Right.
That's not a thing. And Eric, tied within some of the struggles we've seen from the defense, has also been an area that we really haven't seen this team struggle with the past several years, and that's the explosives that they've given up. Now, if you watch this Bills team, which I'm assuming all of you do if you're tuning into this show, you know that they'll give up explosive runs from time to time. So it's not
Yeah.
crazy to see them live in that world. Eric, we talk about it all the time on the show, like their propensity for giving up explosive runs, but on the flip side, creating tackles for loss and hits at the line of scrimmage
The
and
havoc
stuff.
rate. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. There you go. Beautiful. All that. So it kind of goes hand in hand. But traditionally, they've been a team that is not giving up explosives in the pass game. And Eric, like you have in this graphic here, that's kind of changed these past 3 weeks. And with it being one less game in weeks 5 through 7 versus weeks 1 through 4, it's even more concerning given the
Yeah.
numbers.
So, yeah, no doubt. Weeks 1 through 4, explosive rushes, 5. That was ranked 30th. Not so good. Explosive passes, that's 20 yards or more, 11. That's 14. So average, nothing crazy. Weeks 5 through 7, explosive rushes, 4, 31st. Again, it is what it is. That's the type of defense that this team likes to play. They're,
Mhm.
up the field, that they're attack oriented, and there were times over the last couple of years where they're more that too high shell, where they're kind of getting away from that a little bit or running a little different type of form, that you're not totally gapped out up front. Well, the biggest difference from weeks 1 through 4 and 5 through 7 are the explosive passes, Anthony.
Yeah.
12 in 3 games. That was ranked 24th. And that is just not a Buffalo Bills defense. That is not a Sean McDermott defense.
No, we've talked about it so much with this defense. And granted, Frazier isn't here anymore, but he and McDermott were in lockstep in a lot of ways. And we talked about this defense kind of being at the forefront of that movement of putting a cap on opposing
Mhm.
offenses and making them play efficiently and make them have to put together 9, 10, 11, 12 play drives to score and limiting explosives. They've been one of the best defenses these past several years in terms of limiting explosives and keeping a cap on things.
Yeah.
And that's not what we've seen these past, 3 weeks. And again, coincidentally, it comes in conjunction with the injuries that we've seen and this increased piece. But it's more concerning when you come out of a game against the Patriots, a team that was 31st in the league in
Yeah.
passing EPA going into last week, like one of the worst passing offenses in football. And to kind of put it into more perspective a little bit in terms of what happened for the Patriots last week, weeks 1 through 6, the Patriots offense, they were 28th in success rate and
Mhm.
32nd in EPA per play. Week 7 versus the Bills, they were second in success rate at
That's crazy.
53.4% and third in EPA per play. Their success rate went from 28th to second, 40% to 53.4, and their EPA per play on offense went from last to third. They were generating some explosives on the ground, some explosives with the pass, and it's an offense that shouldn't be able to live like that
No.
considering how poor they've been. I understand, And I think most fans would as well. Like the Jaguars game, we broke it down on the show. Calvin Ridley is elite. Trevor Lawrence is
Yeah, they got
fantastic.
some weapons
They got
and
some
and a
dude.
good quarterback.
Yes, and a good coach who understands things. So
Yes.
you're either going to give up some explosives to them. Cool. It's understood. Like sometimes, the dudes on the other side get paid too, and they're also good at football.
Mhm.
You tip your cap. But seeing some of these explosives generated the past couple of weeks, even with some of the, against the Giants, but really this Pats piece, considering how much they have been struggling, you mentioned it earlier, that's where it starts to like this is kind of becoming a theme. This is worrisome. You're giving up these opportunities to teams that haven't been generating them against prior opponents. And the Bills can't live in this form and in this fashion, especially with the players that they have on defense filling in, but then also with how they're trying to generate explosives on the other side of the ball.
Yeah.
It just doesn't mesh. And I think that's part of the reason in the bigger picture and grander scheme, we're, seeing this disjointed nature of the team at, these last 3 weeks.
Yeah, again, 23 explosive passing plays over the course of the season, 12 in the last 3, 8 over 25 yards. That's just not how the Bills play pass coverage and pass defense. That is just not you're not allowing your defense to, stay ahead of the offense, and the offense is now keeping the defense off balance, and you're not making the offense one-dimensional, which you should have been able to do against the Patriots. That was just that seemed like that was going to be pretty easy going in, even with all the injuries. But it was disappointing to see. But we want to get into some of this film. We want to take a look at some of the big plays in this game. I'm seeing Dorian Williams' name pop up in the comments. We're going to take a look at a couple plays, and we talked about Milano and how not having him is a major issue here when it comes to coverage, and you're going to see that creep up in a lot of this film. So let's transition to some of the film here. So we are in the first quarter, 12:38, 45-yard line. This is a 25-yard gain by the Patriots. Play action pass, simple cover 3 defense. Dorian Williams falls asleep here off the play action pass. Eyes are in the backfield, doesn't process it well. Dorian is right here. Watch this little QB tight end leak, essentially, like we've seen in past games. Watch him fall asleep here. You see it's simple cover 3. So he eventually has to get out here to the flats. It's zone coverage, but he gets caught sleeping here, and that tight end leaks out. And this is not even that good of a tight end. Like,
No,
let's be honest here.
Farrell Brown.
He's not. Yeah, he's not. Look how slow he is. This is disappointing. You cannot give up plays like this. This is a really big play. 25 yards to a guy like that on first down. It's just disappointing for a guy in Dorian Williams who is super athletic, but his eyes deceive him here.
Yeah, and it's a piece we talked about with him coming into the year and just the mental side and the processing side of things. And he's had some real positive flashes on the year, but he's had some of these lapses like you show in this game. And it couldn't come at like kind of a worse position for the Bills, considering the other option is Terrell Dodson, who has had his own struggles as well, which we're going to break down. And I think it's also interesting when you look at like the second level defenders on this play, like Bernard and Taron Johnson already kind of getting into their drop and diagnosing what's happening. And Dorian is like 3-4 yards in front of them towards the line of scrimmage and severely out of position with where he is. And but Erik, again, like this, I hate doing this because he shouldn't even be playing right now. Like this is not a scenario
We didn't
that was
expect him to.
supposed.
No doubt.
No, not at all. Like Bernard won the job. He and Milano were clicking. You're not expecting Dorian Williams to take the field. So he's put in, to get some time on task earlier than anticipated. But these are the types of things you're going to continue to see. And these are the types of things that I know a lot of people get frustrated with that when Dodson gets into the game. But these type of lapses and these type of, gashed up plays that result from his awareness and or lack thereof are things that are impacting the defense. And I think it's understandable to see those types of things. And if you're Sean McDermott, be like, I got to put in somebody who's not going to allow that, even if that person is much more unathletic than,
and I like that they pull him out. I know a lot of fans are like, hey, let him play. I agree. Let him play. But early in the season, let him get off the field, take his breath, watch again. And the offense is going to continue to attack that way until they stop it, which they did. They went after Dotson as well. And then you're going to see that linebacker, Dorian.
I'm sorry to interrupt. We got to stop. Our boy, Arterius, came through. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for the monetary donation.
Yeah,
That's
thank you.
absolutely tremendous. That's awesome. And then the comment too saying the Bills may have been disappointing last week, but this show never
Oh,
is.
man.
And keep up the good work. That's awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank
We
you so
appreciate
much.
it so much. Again, your engagement is enough. Like, this is
Yeah.
just humbling. This is humbling from you each and every week, man. We appreciate you coming here and supporting us any way you can, and you go above and beyond every single week. Thank you very much, Arterius.
Yeah, this isn't the first time that his generosity has kind of left us
All
like
right.
dumbfounded a bit. That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we appreciate that. And I said at the top, if you're not gonna rectify or fix the situation, the teams are going to continue to attack it. Well, the Giants attacked Dorian Williams in the
Mhm.
very much the same way on a concept. It came from the other side. The tight end leak came from the other side, but you see him fast flowing on the run action. And then, oh no, there goes Waller out the back door, and he's getting 20 yards on a play, another explosive play. So, Anthony, same type of play, different look. And they leaked the tight end out from the backside instead of a front side delayed release. But again, attacking Dorian Williams. And as I was saying, I do like that they pull him out,
Mhm.
because then he can see how, maybe Dodson has his struggles or how he, overcomes some of the issues that in how they're attacking him. Let him take his breath. I think it does a player well, especially when you're talking a guy like this, as you said, that we did not expect to get a lot of reps this season.
No, like we've talked about it so much on the show, like him just getting reps before training camp practices with Bobby Babbage to be able to kind of understand, okay, if I'm against the 3-by-1, and they run a drive concept, how, what do I do against the drag versus the dig? What do I do in terms of, if they go to a 2-by-2 and they show this look or this concept? And he's got all the athleticism in the world. We love the burst and the physicality he shows, but he just comes flying out of his shoes on this one and just gets completely caught. And he tries to slam on the brakes,
He
even
does,
runs
yeah.
into like Waller. Waller just goes through him and avoids him. But it's him just, that whether you want to go with like the eyes piece or the processing piece, whatever way you want to label it, he's just getting caught out of position in terms of how he's reading the play and more importantly, what he's not reading. And when you put him next to his peers and see how they're not getting caught out, like it happens. Guys
Yeah.
get misled,
Yeah.
guys will get fooled, and you do have to honor the run when it comes to the play action piece, but he's just getting caught out and it's in significant ways. And Eric, here's another one as you highlight him there, where the Bills run this blitz and there's just, 3 underneath and 3 over the top. And
Yeah.
you even see Micah Hyde would like pass over and communicate, and Bernard is reading it as well. And Dorian just gets locked into friggin' like Farrell Brown again, I think.
Yeah, I
Oh
think
no,
it
that's
is.
because maybe the Gasicki just gets locked into him. Oh, it
Uh,
is Farrell Brown.
it
Man,
is Pharaoh
friggin' Farrell
Brown.
Brown just latches onto him and rides with him and completely misses Kendrick Bourne on the drag coming across. And Eric, this isn't an extremely difficult concept to grasp. Like this is just basic coverage
Yeah.
behind a blitz.
Yeah, it's a 3 deep, 3 under. And so 3 under, you're outnumbered underneath. There's a lot of green to cover. So pattern matching is crucial. Route recognition and concept recognition is crucial. They're just running a little like a shallow drag here concept. And so what has to happen, like you said, Hyde is passing Bourne on to Bernard. Bernard is, as Bourne goes across the middle, they're communicating to Dorian, hey, guess what, buddy? You got someone coming up. Oh, and he just drops it. He just
Oh,
drops it. He gets that tunnel vision as a rookie. And
yeah.
that's why I like, the ability to pull guys off the field like that. Again, this is pattern matching zone. They got to match this pattern. And it's one of the most basic patterns. Again, shallow drag,
Mhm.
little sit route over the ball by Pharaoh Brown. And then you got that shallow cross, shallow drag over the middle. He's got to recognize that. He's got to come off of that little sit route and go get the shallow drag.
And this is also too, Eric, where there isn't like, again, not to pick on him too much, but there isn't confusion amongst the defense. There isn't like, well, I thought he was mine or I thought you had him, so on and so forth. Like you can see, as we highlighted, like the rest of the defense is all operating on the same page
Mhm.
except for Dorian. And again, that's where him, having to operate on this learning curve and learn on the fly. That's understandable given where he is, but it's just yielding large explosive plays for the offense. And it's part of the reason that we've seen their explosive pass rate go up these past couple of weeks. And it may not seem, like crazy, because I think a lot of people think explosives, they think of these downfield shots, but it's been more pieces like this, using misdirection to mislead and confuse him and or defenders at the second level, and then taking advantage of how they're out of position. You can generate an explosive play like this on a simple 5-yard drag just by misleading, a rookie linebacker and confusing what he's seeing.
Right, and you saw that blitz by Taron Johnson. They showed it too early. That is also
Mhm.
a thing. They showed it too early, allowed, Mac Jones to stand back there, change the protection, and made Bernard the Mike. And they were working to him. The offensive line was working to him, and they were able to pick up the blitz. So he was not under duress. And so again, it gave that quarterback time to dissect the defense, that cover three under look.
Mhm.
And on this play, you're going to see Bernard actually give up a play here. This is something we haven't seen too much of when it comes to the
Yeah.
pass game, especially in man coverage. This is a 5-man pressure add on with Dotson, but it's cover one. But you can see it looks like a run set. They get play action, they get movement, and this I'll put this on Mac Jones. This was a damn good throw to
Mhm.
freaking Pharaoh Brown again down the field against Bernard. I like the coverage by Bernard. It was good. I I wish he could have played it a little bit through the pocket as the ball was coming in, but I'll give props to Mac Jones on this play. But again, that pressure, that blitz doesn't get home. He's able to stand in there
Yeah.
versus that blitz, and that's not what you want when you're sending that many guys. Again, and you're adding on to it with the linebacker Dotson getting the green dog blitz because the running back stayed in. So good play from the offense, and a play that goes up and over Terrell Bernard for a 26-yard gain.
I love how this show has become like a Pharaoh Brown like
I
highlight
know.
reel.
It's like one of those things that, like, when you're I was cutting up the film and stuff, I didn't quite pick up on, and then
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man, he
Get
owned
Pharaoh,
us.
get Pharaoh Brown again.
He
Oh,
owned us.
and it seems like every time we're like, oh, who is that? It's like, oh, Pharaoh Brown again. Yeah,
Like,
like kudos to kudos
Newman.
to yeah, oh god, Pharaoh. Oh. Oh man. I hope everybody understood that reference and wasn't like, who's Newman? That would break my heart.
Come on, you guys, watch some Seinfeld if you
I
didn't understand it, please.
Pharaoh. This is a good ball from Mac Jones. It's the only thing that saved me from being fully like frustrated. This is a good ball from Mac Jones, like you said, even with kind of Cole Strange getting knocked back into his lap a little bit
Hmm.
by Shaq Lawson. Like, so he's under some, kind of, not completely obstructed, but he's got some pressure coming in around his legs and his body, and he drops this in there. Bernard's in good position. I would have loved if he
Yeah.
could have got his head around, or exactly to your point, if you're not going to get your head around, cool, punch through those hands, rip. We've seen it. We see the Bills execute this a bunch. Benford has done it. Dane Jackson has done it. Like, we see them be pretty adept at kind of getting their hand through the hands of the receiver and punching the ball out, especially with Pharaoh Brown. Like, he's not really using late hands here. He kind of telegraphs it a bit. It would have been great if Bernard could get that punch through. And it's even more frustrating because, again, he is in good position and he's had such good coverage on the year. But this is the type of piece, like, it seems just like these plays were like happening to the Bills defense that weren't happening before. And it's not just bad luck. It seems like they're kind of snake bit though, when it comes to giving up these plays, even when they're in good positioning, it's still not working out.
Right. And so again, we're talking about the change from weeks 1 through 4 versus 5 through 7 in explosive pass plays, and a few plays that showed up that kind of play into the game tomorrow night are slot fades. And we've seen a few of them. We're going to break down a few of them now. This one's from the Jags game. Again, glaring issues, glaring weaknesses, things on film that we are going to continue to see going forward. Hopefully, I mean, I expect tomorrow night. And you had mentioned it before the show. Who do you expect to run the slot fade from the Bucks?
Oh, Mike Evans, man. Like,
Yeah.
they put him in that slot and they clear it out and let him run that slot fade. And whether it's with his speed or his arm length or his ability to climb the ladder and get it, he's a problem in a multitude of ways with how he can win downfield.
Right. So this is that slot fade, end of the game, fourth quarter, 3:15 left in the game. 3rd and 4 situation. This is a 32-yard gain. Now, this is a cover zero look, but it's this type of situation where the Bills do get a little riskier, a little more aggressive. Not necessarily the end of the game, but when I'm talking 3rd down and 3, 3rd down and 4, right on the fringe of 3rd and 4 to 6, like in that area, they want to go man coverage. They want to affect the quarterback. They want to disrupt the quarterback. They want to play man coverage, so it's tight coverage. This was one hell of a throw against high to Ridley there, who we gushed about during this episode. But these are the type of plays that we're going to continue to see on film. Again, slot fade, something to pay attention to Thursday night.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Evans is so adept at that slot fade, and Ridley does a great job here. And, watching Ridley kind of hold that red line, and he does a good job giving Trevor Lawrence the space to fit this ball in. And then Trevor Lawrence leads him away from Micah Hyde to the sideline. I don't even really think Ridley breaks stride here. Like, this is a tremendous ball from Trevor Lawrence and what he does here. And again, Hyde's not in the worst position. Ridley just separates. It's a good throw from Trevor Lawrence. But if this happens, right? Okay, it happens. Guy made a play. You've got a really good quarterback and a really good receiver, and also an advantageous matchup. Even though Hyde can cover, like, good for the Jags. It's the problem that these pieces are happening in conjunction with the mental lapses and explosive plays. And Eric, you highlighted the blitz coming off the edge.
Yeah, it's a blitz.
And this is something we talked about in this game in the film room, where the blitz just was not getting to Trevor Lawrence. It was not getting home, which was the opposite of what we saw kind of the week before against Miami in terms of the pass rush working in conjunction with coverage. Things were just off a little beat here. They were off a little bit. And you see the angle that Dodson takes off the edge, and it just doesn't.
And if that's Milano.
Yes, exactly.
Is he affecting the quarterback more here? That's the thing. Like, those injuries do play a huge part and factor into a lot of these plays, especially when we're talking explosives.
Absolutely. Oh, Eric, we got to pause for a minute. We got another super chat from Brandon, who's been extremely supportive of us on Twitter these past several days. Thank you very much for being here, Brandon, and for the super chat. And Brandon has a question for us. He says, if you could trade for any player on the market currently, who is it? Personally, Surtain is it for me. He sets our defense up for years. Eric, that's a name that has been like the pie in the sky dream for Bills fans with Pat Surtain, the tremendous young corner for the Denver Broncos. I guess obviously some of the realistic nature comes in. Like, if I could get Pat Surtain for a fifth, sure, but he's probably going to cost multiple firsts.
Yeah.
He's just such a stud. If there is somebody, kind of pie in the sky for you, or somebody who you think is a realistic trade target? Anybody on your brain when it comes to that piece?
I mean, the obvious ones, I'll start with this. I'll start with what I think we're looking on the offense. What I think they need is speed. I think they need a speed element to their wide receiver room. I do think they, yes, they have Hardy. But I think aside from him, when we're talking burner, they don't quite have it. And I think another one would be beneficial to the offense with defenses playing man coverage against the Bills, the second highest rate in the NFL. I think having speed at that position would be money. Now, a guy we broke down and did a whole segment on in the offseason, DeAndre Hopkins, he still got it. He still got it. He would probably fetch a pretty low draft pick. It wouldn't have to be an expensive asset given up to get him. He's low when you're talking contract. He pretty much gets all of his money from the Titans there. So I think he's an obvious target that I think would help out in a different way, not aside from speed. But having another guy in that wide receiver room altogether would definitely help the Bills, especially if with Knox being out for several weeks, a guy that was obviously, a pretty big piece of this Bills offense.
That was my number one as well, from just a money perspective. And then also, I mean, granted, maybe, because the Bills are in the AFC, the Titans drive it up a little bit more, but they gave up Kevin Byard, who's an all-pro safety, for Terrell Edmonds, a fifth and a sixth. Like, that's very doable from like an acquisition perspective if you're not the Titans. So between the contract situation and it being affordable and what you could pry him away for, I like the idea of Hopkins. I don't know how much smoke there or fire there is to the rumor of the Bills reaching out about Dre Greenlaw. I love the idea of potentially adding a linebacker, although I wonder how much a linebacker would succeed given the struggles we have seen up front. I personally just love Dre Greenlaw because he plays like a velociraptor, and I've been a fan of his for so long.
He's a psycho.
Dude,
that's what he is. He's a psycho. Like, he's all over the place.
Yeah, he plays literally like, if you watch Jurassic Park, and I'm thinking of the second one, or whichever one with Julianne Moore, and the Raptors are in the fields and they're mowing everybody down one by one. That's how Dre Greenlaw plays linebacker. Like, dude is just awesome. And you pair him with kind of the responsible nature of Terrell Bernard, I think that could be a fun pairing. But from a realistic standpoint, I don't think they're going to get Surtain or these bigger name things that are rumored. I think DeAndre Hopkins is the most likely. And I would love that piece.
Mooney's a name that popped up in the Cover One content channel as well. That
So let's bring up
Yeah, there you
Save
go.
a Whale, Rider running back, who
What
is here
up?
every week,
Yeah,
donates almost every week. We appreciate you being here,
thank
your
you.
consistent support, the money. Also, again, you got the best name in the business. He says, would like to see Darnell Mooney or Hollywood Brown for the offense. Will they even use an offense player based on Hines coming in midseason last year? So kind of using the lack of usage for Naheem
Sure.
Hines. I think if it's a wide receiver, it's a different piece. I like Darnell Mooney. I had him in fantasy the past couple of years, and now, with what's going on in Chicago, he is somebody who can stretch the field. He adds a little bit of some
Mhm.
technicality. He plays bigger at the catch point than he gets credit for, given his size. He's another name to consider as well,
Those are 2
along
good
with
names.
Hollywood
I
Brown.
like
Yeah.
those 2 names. Yeah, I would approve that. I like those 2 names. On the defensive side, I like the Greenlaw talk. I don't think that happens, obviously,
No, and if I'm the
especially with what
Niners,
yeah. Why
I'm
would
not
you?
doing that.
Yeah, and especially because, like, again, the Bills have invested in linebacker for the foreseeable future.
Mhm.
I just don't see that happening. But one name that just popped into my head was Daquan Jones's old teammate. If we're going interior defensive line, is Tier
Oh,
Tart from the Titans.
oh,
He's a dude. He's one of those. He's very much like Daquan, bigger dude that can just like toss
mhm,
people up the middle. He's got that versatility where he could play both of those interior defensive line
mhm,
positions, but he's more of like that nose tackle. I think he's a guy that would occupy some guys to keep Bernard free. I think he's a nice name. I don't think the Bills will be able to afford Patrick Surtain from the Broncos just because of the draft assets they'd have to give up, which they need with Josh's contract now. They need those assets. They need to start
mhm.
hitting on those early round assets, and then the money it's going to take to secure him long term because you want to obviously if you bring him in, he's a cornerstone, he's a foundational piece. It'll cost a lot of money to eventually to re-sign him.
He's one of the best corners in the NFL
Oh
already
yeah,
right now,
no
and
doubt.
in case anybody, like, fights against that, I could see somebody being like, "Yeah, but, like, Denver got torched against Miami. How much can he really do?" He wasn't the one getting torched left and right in that game. He's a tremendous dude, but exactly to the point, and the awesome question from Brandon to start this all off. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
good
gonna
stuff.
cost significant capital in addition to the financial commitment, and then you're also opening a can of worms. Like, Christian Benford has played well as corner 2. So are you bringing in Surtain as corner 1? Like, what happens to Trey White? Like, it
Yeah.
creates these questions that have to be asked that you
A
don't
cascading
necessarily want.
effect.
Yeah,
No
exactly.
doubt. Yeah, no doubt. And so, we're gonna get back to the film. We're gonna finish up the defensive side of the ball real quick. 3rd and 7 here. Again, slot fade, this time against Elam. All right,
Mm.
that's a name to keep an eye on, guys. Slot fade here. Another guy, actually, this is a guy. I don't know if the Giants are actually trying to get rid of him.
Slayton.
Slayton. I
Yeah,
talked
speed
about
for days.
speed. He's got some drop issues. He had some drop issues. I don't know how he's
Yeah.
doing in that department this year, but he was right up there with Gabe Davis and
Mhm.
McKenzie last year.
Oh,
But
but Gabe Davis, every Bills fan's favorite wide receiver.
yeah, yeah, he can't go a whole entire show without saying his name. But I do like Slayton. I think he can do that right there, get vertical down the field, and he can do some of that stuff. Where he's running a short curl in the shorter, even the intermediate area where he can
Mhm,
separate with his speed. I do think he'd actually be a good target too. And obviously they have a relationship with the GM over in New York. But
mhm.
again, slot fade this time versus Elam, Anthony.
Yeah, and, I remember when this happened, I was like, "Oh, Elam's gonna get flamed for this one," and you see that cover 1 look, and you have that man coverage piece, and again, this is a good route from Slayton. He gives himself space, he creates
Hmm.
the opportunity to be able to run away from Elam should that ball be presented to him by Taylor, and Taylor's always had a pretty deep ball, even going back to his time in Buffalo, he would just, like,
Oh
never
yeah.
uncork it enough. I still think of the pretty one against the Colts to Percy Harvin in week 1, and Harvin dives,
That
and it's
was the
beautiful.
literally, Anthony, that was literally the first breakdown I've ever done on YouTube. That was my
Really?
first video. That was the first video I did for the Bills on
That's
YouTube.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That
But
was
yeah, like
one.
Sammy Watkins, like
Bro.
2015 ended like the second half of 2015, Tyrod Taylor, Sammy
Yeah.
Watkins. Man, that was good stuff. He's a good deep
Yeah.
ball thrower. I I,
Yeah.
I agree.
He was just always so check down minded and safe. But yeah, he uncorks one here, and it's a good ball to Slayton. And again, this is the situation that you kind of, when it happens, you tip your cap and you say, okay, it happens. But the problem is these are happening in addition to the other types of breaks that we're seeing. And here it is again, like
Hmm.
theme, slot fade. And again, these are breakdowns of current trends that we're seeing. But Eric, like you mentioned, This could happen a lot tomorrow night against Tampa Bay because Mike Evans loves these looks. If you have Mike Evans in fantasy and you've been watching him for years, he rocks that slot fade. It didn't matter if his QB was Jameis or Tom Brady or Baker Mayfield. He loves that slot fade. And given the types of coverages the Bills have been running, he could be running that slot fade against Micah Hyde. He could be running it against Taron Johnson. It could be against Dane Jackson, depending on how they want to match up and what they want to do. And again, it's an issue that until the Bills show they can stop it, it will continue to crop up, especially with slot fades are such a prevalent option for teams nowadays. But if they know, okay, Eric, like you said, like in certain third down situations, they like to get a little closer. They like to run those man coverage looks. Okay, let's put our number one in the slot and let's throw that slot fade to the wide side of the field and give them all that room to operate, given that it's been a high probability of success rate these past several weeks against the Bills.
Yeah, and as we transition to the other side of the ball, the offensive side, why I imagine most of you guys are here with us tonight in the film room. And as I get that, that film brought up and we start to talk about some of the pressures and the misses from Josh Allen, go ahead and sit tight real quick, guys, and listen to this read from Greg and Aaron.
Many people ask us the best way to support us here at Cover One, and that is to sign up to become a Cover One Pass member. That contribution helps give us the access to all the data and information we use to create the content that you love.
And I think most importantly, brings you into our community of insiders. It's a great community based on Slack. I know a lot of people don't want to be on social media anymore or be in on those conversations. We bring all of it to you right in our great community of educated fans. And most importantly, you get access to our content creators.
Even better than that, everybody loves merch. You get awesome t-shirts, a cool decal, and a letter from the Cover One team signed directly to you.
All for $60. That gets you the entire season, next year's free agency and draft. $60. Click the link in the description. Cover One Insider. Become one today.
Yeah, we couldn't do any of this, especially this show. We would not be able to do any of this without you guys. The telestrator, the cool graphics from our intern Sam DeSorbo. All of the recording devices we have that you can't even see, the lighting that makes us look pretty. A little bit of everything supports our show. So if you are into supporting us, again, small, independent, grassroots type company, we appreciate it. If you can't, it's good. You're here with us. You're engaging with us. You're helping us in that way. We'll take anything and everything. So, Anthony, with that said, when it comes to the offensive side of the ball, this week, Bills Mafia has, like you said, they've pretty much eaten each other. And it seems like it's become the eye test, which film, watching the game versus analytics, which this is always a debate for guys like us because, we use both every single day.
Yes.
We use analytics and we use film every single day. Several hours a day, Anthony and I are guaranteed to be doing one of those two things and studying those two things. That's a given. I would say that personally, maybe you're different. I personally lean into the film more than I do the statistics, but I still use statistics. But to see people like turn on each other over these two things that you got to have both of, and you guys see it every single week in here with us, it just makes zero sense to me. You got to have both. And if you're an analyst, you're a commentator, you're a podcaster, you're whatever you are to create content, not just for Bills Mafia, for, any of these sports, if you're not using both, then you're doing it wrong. And you're honestly only given one half of the story. And so to see as a film junkie, I'm sitting here like Mr. Burns, right? In that GIF like this,
Excellent.
like as a film junkie and people are turning on analytics. I'm like, ooh, all right, this is exciting because guess what? A lot of people, as I said, rely on analytics and are, they only present the analytics side. They don't watch the film. They just read stat boxes, advanced analytics, and they do it from that perspective. So if you're turning on your own information that you use, I'm just saying it's going to come back to bite you. So I understand. I will say personally, the Bills offense, all those analytics, they say they're a top 5 offense. Do they feel to me like they're a top 5 offense? No. But relative to the league, they are. So it's hard for a lot of people to stomach, including me to a certain extent. But I can't just ignore the sample size and the 7 games that they've played. Now, I can talk about it with context and nuance, as we always do, Anthony. We've broken down the splits for a reason on both sides of the ball because the last few games, they haven't felt like a top 5 offense, and the numbers and the film show that.
Absolutely. And my frustration with the whole conversation is part of, we've talked about it on the show, like, as two people who have been criticizing Ken Dorsey for quite a long time, but have also given him his flowers when he deserves them. Two things that frustrate me about the whole conversation when it comes to the offense is, one, every issue with it being laid at the feet of Ken Dorsey, even when something is blatantly Josh Allen's fault. Well, because Ken Dorsey didn't set him up for success. Like, it's like Ken Dorsey is the stepchild that the parent hates, and then the other one is like their kid, and they just like, well, no, my kid is perfect. You can't criticize my kid. Like, no, it's got to be the other one. The other one led him astray every single time. Then the second piece is something that you mentioned and alluded to. The people who are arguably the most vocal about, well, the stats lie and my eyes say different. Do you watch film? Do you know what you're watching? Because when you're relying on your eyes and the eye test, and I don't say this to up ourselves or pat ourselves on the back.
No, because we are fans as well. We are fans of this team as well. So there is an emotional element. And so we understand that. I just want to preface what you're going to say with that.
Absolutely. But what it takes to watch the game and to be able to see it from a structural and schematic and X's and O's standpoint, Erik, I don't think you could quantify the amount of time that you put in to be able to see the game that you wait the way you do. I don't, and you're older than me and you've been doing it longer than me, and it's way more hours than I've put in. And I know I've put in a lot as well. To see the people be the most vocal about, well, forget the statistics. It's all the eye test. It's all the eye test. Cool. So then show us or explain what your eyes are seeing. Be able to break it down, because so much of the eye test, when you follow up with it and be like, okay, what are you seeing? It's just too simplistic of an explanation, or it's more emotional than it is actual structural.
It's more emotional. Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. And to rely on, oh, well, it's the eye test, or that's not what I'm feeling. You got to throw out what you're feeling. That's how you get misled into these situations. Regardless, it's the same thing. Bringing in emotion is the reason people are upset with Poona Ford, because they thought when he got brought in, oh my God, another all-pro guy in the mix. Now he's just been a good rotational player, but because your emotions say that he was supposed to be great, you're pissed that he's a rotational guy and he sucks. And that's what we try to do to put everything in perspective. The analytics with the film, both of them in conjunction, do not lie. Does that mean we're always right on this show? Does that mean the brand is always right with our breakdowns? No, everyone's prone to mistakes, but we show our work consistently with the film, with the advanced metrics, and put it all together. And everything we do, rightly or wrongly, Erik, is based on evidence. If we say, oh, Timmy had a bad game, we're going to show you with clips and context and breakdowns. We're not speaking from a place of emotion, even though we do love this team and we're not pleased with the loss and how they played. We remain objective, and everything comes back to the analytics. But more importantly, same with you, I lean towards that film side. The eye in the sky doesn't lie. The scheme and the structure and the way we break it down does not lie.
And that's why, immediately after a loss like that to the Patriots, we're feeling emotions. Yeah, we're pissed off that they lost. And now we have to watch it 5 to 6 times through the week. Thank God it's a short week. And so, we have emotions, we have attachments to this team as fans, but we can also step back. And once that film drops, and that is our therapy, and we can walk through the hows and whys behind it, like you always say, that's where we can start to eliminate that emotion and realize, okay, this is why it happened. It's not because Dorsey sucks or Josh Allen sucks. It's not black and white. There's a lot of nuance to it, and it's not something that you can flesh out on Twitter. But that's why you come here every week and spend like 2 hours with us to watch a film, because we will. And if you guys keep coming in, we tell you all the time, we're still going to do it. And Carl, thank you for that. He says Bilal Nichols or DJ Jones at the trade deadline.
Okay. I love DJ Jones. If they brought in DJ Jones, I would. Nichols is cool for me. If I got the option between those two, I would gladly take DJ Jones. I'm a fan of his game for you. And that is the direction, Erik, you mentioned Tart.
Yeah.
I would prefer defensive line reinforcement, that even as much as I love Dre Greenlaw, like if that was an option versus like DJ Jones, I think I'd probably lean DJ Jones, because I think that interior needs to be reinforced a bit more. Although,
again, last year when Daquan was out and we saw it in the Bengals game, that's a pretty big loss. So they're going to have, and again, Bean did his best to add depth there. It just, again, the drop off is so massive from where Daquan was playing. Yeah, those are two names that I wouldn't mind at all on the defensive side.
I like Pete suggesting there too, saying that Kenny Clark's deal would fit. I don't know what his contract is in Green Bay, but dude has been a stud. I would welcome him in a heartbeat if that was a potential option for this team to be able to bring him in. And Eric, you bring up this tweet from Aaron Schatz. I love his lead in with this tweet has gotten a lot of engagement, so I decided to run the same number. I wonder why this tweet has gotten so much engagement. It's very interesting. But Eric, another piece here to kind of look at the Bills from, again, where we keep breaking it up. You saw it earlier with the defense. We're continuing to do it in the offense, like breaking down these splits. Weeks 1 through 4, what Aaron Schatz has here versus weeks 1 through 7. You see the Bills offensive DVOA. So a decline from a percentage standpoint, but not necessarily from a ranking. And even with what he has labeled there, saying it's a little decline, but not a big deal. And then he also has the defensive DVOA quote tweeted, which is far more significant.
Yeah, no doubt. And especially when you're talking like last week's game where the offense did take some time to get going. But once they did, they got up and the defense couldn't stop them. So, yeah, the Buffalo Bills offensive DVOA for the first 4 games was ranked 3rd overall. Weeks 5 through 7, 4th overall. So you're like, okay, all right. Again, analytics, pretty good. When you're talking, the 7-game sample. But then Nate, our boy Nate, he's been on a rampage all week. He's been on it. And I get it, because I think we do feel the same way, right? We do feel the same way. As I said, that they haven't been operating all that well. And, they do have pretty much all of their starters as opposed to the defense. So you expect that kind of difference. So Nate had Aaron break it down into quarters 1 through 3 in weeks 5 through 7 versus quarter 4. And so when you look at quarters 1 through 3 in weeks 5 through 7, their DVOA was ranked 15th. But to be honest, I honestly thought it would be worse than that. Again, when you're thinking from the emotional standpoint and watching these games, I honestly thought they would be worse than average, but it's not the case. So in quarters 1 through 3, their DVOA was ranked 15th. And then quarter 4, they've been lighting it up. They're 2nd overall in DVOA. So I just thought, I understand Nate's point, and we do agree. The offense needs to get out of the gates quicker and get points on the board, and to help the defense have that one-dimensional element. Hey, they're behind 10 points, 14 points. They're going to have to pass it because our offense is humming right now. We agree with that. Like, we totally agree with that. But this just shows the difference in emotion versus, actuality, that perception versus reality of being average. Again, average is not good, but it's also not bad.
Yeah, exactly to your point. Like, when I saw this, I would have guessed worse than 15th. Like, I would have guessed like 23 and below potentially, even though I don't know how much it's going to skew it. I do think of like the long touchdown drive against the Giants that technically the touchdown came at like the start of the 4th with the Hardy one, but it was really like a third down, or a third quarter drive could have been a touchdown. Just like that. But the advanced metrics, because I see the comment from Joseph that says that tweet does not mean jack-ish. Their last 3 games are what they are. Stats mean nothing, which is, sounds like Twitter in a nutshell.
It does.
The point with the metrics is to remove the emotion and show you what things are from a statistical standpoint. Now, Eric, exactly like you said, like, do you feel like they've been like average? Some people might think they're a little like worse. Some people still might think they're a little better, but the statistics take out the emotion for you, or should take out the emotion.
And they're adjusted. They're adjusted based on schedule and everything, and strength and those.
And that's the piece. And then you pair DVOA with EPA and all these other advanced metrics, whether you use an SIS or if you have PFF or you subscribe to Sumer Sports and use their product, which is free and awesome in a lot of ways. Whatever you look to, the advanced metrics reduce a lot of the variables, remove a lot of the noise, and just put the numbers and pieces in front of you. And that's an important piece because football is such a variable game. We talk about it all the time on the show. It's a funny aspect too, tying it into Dorsey, or even McDermott, because someone will be like, oh, like the third down calls, for this game are awful. McDermott sucks. You don't know if McDermott is the third down game plan coordinator in that game. Joseph says teams do not win the Super Bowl on stats, but aren't wins and losses a stat technically? Not to kind of be that kind of guy.
I like this follow up though.
Yeah. That's a good point from Justin. The stats show you that the wins will come, and that's where it comes in, right? Even think about the game against the Giants or even the game against the Pats, you've got, an interference call on Latavius Murray that takes away a touchdown. You've got the Gabe Davis fumble against the Patriots. You've got the missed field goal from Tyler Bass. You've got little misexecution pieces here and there that have derailed drives and taken away the opportunity for points. But what EPA shows you and what DVOA shows you is that on the whole, the Bills are operating positively in a direction that will lead to points. Now, what you can do, and like what Justin said there, in terms of the stats showing you that the wins will come, the Bills have been snake bit a bit, no pun intended, like we've talked about when it comes to turnovers and things derailing drives. The thought is, based on their advanced metrics, those things will regress towards the mean a bit, and they will start to balance out. It's similar.
That's why efficiency is key. That's why efficiency is key, because again, yeah, it may sound like it's a silver lining, but this is what we've been clamoring for. It's just a fact. Yeah, if you're efficient, if you stay the course, like things are going to even out. Things are going to regress to the mean regardless of where you are. If you're really high, eventually you're going to regress to the mean. If you're really low, you're going to regress. Like, maintain that efficiency, which they had the last 2 years. I think that is the course. It's hard to stomach because we said we're with you. It looks very difficult. Everything looks very difficult on that side of the ball.
Yeah.
But if that's the case for the Bills offense and all of these numbers that measure efficiency across the league and literally every statistic I've seen, major statistic, it really has the Bills as a top 5 in that department.
Yeah.
And up there with some of the best teams. So it's tough. I get it, guys, but you have to separate that emotion. And stats aren't deciding these games. They're not deciding the games. But again, if you're still producing in that way and producing those stats in that manner, that efficiency, it's going to even out. It's going to turn around. And that is one thing that, when you're looking on that side of the ball, that is something that you definitely should pay attention to and cling to, because it's more times than not correct.
Yeah. And this super chat is awesome. 1, Ebtide, thank you for being here. 2, thank you very much for the monetary donation. But the big one for me is the comment. He says, tough medicine, but until I watch the film room, I only know half the story. You guys provide the full picture in an objective, balanced manner, which explains what happened and why, and it makes the pill easier to swallow. This warms our hearts tremendously.
Yeah, thank you.
You will possibly know. That is basically, in a nutshell, the objective of this show is explaining the how and the why. And that's what we do. I think that's the biggest frustration for me when it comes to the pushback that we get in a lot of ways, because it's like, well, here's what the stats say, and now here's the film that we're going to show backing it up. And then we show the film and people are still like, nope, not buying it. It's like, what?
Yeah.
You're not buying the stats and you're not buying the film? Like, we're not operating with, half of one or, half a dozen, 6 or whatever, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Where I'm losing my train of thought here. We're giving you the full picture, and it's awesome to see Ebtide, you recognizing that, and giving us that piece. And again, this is just a game. There are very rarely, when it comes to football, and Eric, this is why we use the film with the advanced metrics. Football, just break it down for everything. It's 11 on 11. That's 11 individual players having to execute on each side of the ball on any given play. All the coaches, from the coordinators to the head coach, let alone Eric, to all the position coaches that we talked about on the show. I think people think like, oh, okay, everything that happens on offense is just the offensive coordinator. Everything on defense is just the defensive coordinator. No, you've got individual position coaches that'll do the red zone packages or the third down packages or second and short packages, your situational pieces. There are a multitude of people that go into the game plan preparation, let alone the game day execution and calling and everything. That's why very rarely, if ever, is it just like, well, this game was this one guy's fault or this one position.
Right.
Or this
So many variables.
There's so many variables, and they all connect in a multitude of ways. And we try to show you how they all connect on this show. And it's awesome for the people who appreciate it. And it's still I hope it's still enjoyable for the people who think stats suck but are still here watching. So
thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah. Thank you for engaging and enjoying the film with us. And so let's flip the script. All right. We're on the offensive side of the ball. As we talked about, after the London game, the Bills have struggled versus the Blitz. Josh Allen has struggled versus the Blitz. And as we talked about at the top, they haven't quite rectified the situation. They have not fixed it and created a solution. And so we're seeing teams go back to the well. We're going to break down some of those pressures, some of those blitzes, some of those missed hot routes from Josh Allen and missed pass protections, calls up front next. And so even though stats are for losers, we're going to show you that side of it as well on Sabbath. So the Bills offense versus I picked 5-man pressures. We're going to show some 4-man rushes and some 6-man blitzes. But again, the splits weeks 1 through 4 versus 5-man pressures. So versus the blitz, EPA per drop back was 0.39. That was ranked second in the NFL. Weeks 5 through 7, again, from that Jags game on, EPA per drop back for Josh Allen was negative 0.29, which is 27th. So we've seen these struggles against the blitz. We broke down damn near every pressure and blitz by the Jags and what they put on film. And surprise, surprise, Anthony, we've seen a lot of those same looks and issues pop up since that game.
Yeah. And again, just it's a large scale concern, but even more so for this week. Like I mentioned earlier, Mike Caldwell, the defensive coordinator for the Jags, he is from the Todd Bowles defensive tree. Todd Bowles is the head coach for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So you're going to see a lot of similar things philosophically when it comes to the Buccaneers defense that you did with the Jags. And Eric, yeah, it's something we talked about it going into that Jags game, like that their pressure packages on third down, if you allow them to cook, they will. And they did. And I think what's also hindering this Bills offense is like not only what's happening on third down in terms of teams being able to game up the Bills protections and being able to snuff out hot reads and, hot routes and some errors from Josh Allen as well. But it's also tied into some of the kind of predictability of what we're seeing from the Bills offense and just defenses really, again, pinpointing who they are in these situations. And then the Bills kind of playing into it by allowing themselves to get into third and long situations and allowing defenses to be at an even more advantage. And it's been a significant drop, like you showed, like even Josh Allen, real quick, versus 5 or more rushers, weeks 1 through 4 in total EPA, he was 9th. Weeks 5 through 7, he was 28th. Weeks 1 through 4, 3rd in positive play percentage. Weeks 5 through 7, 24th. And then QB rating, weeks 1 through 4, 2nd against 5 or more rushers, 22nd in weeks 5 through 7. It's been a significant drop for him and the entire offense.
All right, so let's get into some of this film. We got like 7 or 8 plays, most of them blitz plays. So early in the game, 1st and 10 situation here, 3:04 left in the first quarter. And you can see the Patriots looking like they're playing cover 0, a lot of guys near line of scrimmage, and they are going to send the blitz. And Josh recognizes it. And, when you play the Patriots, when you play the Dolphins, you better have some checks and audibles against cover 0. And that's exactly what happens here. And Josh, if you listen to the broadcast copy, which every player and coach does, the audible for this was Willis McGahee, an ode to your favorite team in college in Miami. And you can see Stefon Diggs do the U sign, right?
Love that.
And so they check to this Willis McGahee, and then you hear players say Miami. So this is that old, hey, gold whip. They used to run it with John Brown, where they'd in empty, they'd run that tunnel screen, that wide receiver screen. Well, they're running it to the running back here, which is probably why it's Willis McGahee. They're running that Miami, cover 0 blitz here. And so here comes the wide receiver screen. Good check. They recognize the blitz. This is a thumbs up for Josh Allen. And they get 10 yards on this play. Simple play, good read. Again, this is not all bad. He actually had some really good checks and audibles versus the blitz. This was one of them.
Yeah, absolutely. And this ties into a little bit into kind of the whole, like, sometimes football is math / football is numbers type piece. We showed some plays in the film room last week where Josh had an advantageous count in the box on an RPO and chose to swing it out to Diggs, and it didn't work out. Later in the game, he had the advantageous look on the outside, swung it out, and it worked. This is a really good job from him, seeing the front, seeing the look, and recognizing what do I have in the box versus what do I have on the outside. And it comes down to just something as pure as taking advantage of the look and playing the numbers against the defense. And the Bills have the numbers advantage on the outside. The Pats bring that blitz. They get defenders that are allowed to get upfield / go inside. They get caught on the outside, and you get a positive play there for James Cook. I also like some of the physicality Cook shows on this play. Deion Dawkins getting out and kind of changing the leverage for Duggar. It's a nice play and a really good adjustment from Josh Allen. So again, even within the bad, there are pieces of good. You just need to see more of it in terms of how we trend it.
Yeah, it's all about consistency.
Yes.
Josh has always been good against the blitz, but there are lulls in a schedule where, hey, You play this team, for example, the Jags, and they find a nice little, area to attack the Bills offense and their protections after the first quarter of the season. Again, week 5, that's usually how teams break up seasons in quarters. So after, week 4, and you're seeing the Jags and they have 4 games of film, they can find some of these little areas to attack. And again, if you don't fix it, they're going to continue to attack it. So
yeah,
here's
football,
a play from
what is it? Football's a copycat league, and it's not just
100%.
people say that a lot for off-season work, but it's in season too. If somebody shows a recipe that works for beating a team, you can bet damn sure good teams and even some of the bad ones are going to try and replicate it.
Right. And so here's one with Diggs in the backfield. And this play has worked really well. We've broken it down several times, and they do want to go to Diggs. But again, look at the coverage over the top. It looks like, again, another cover 0 type look. Everyone near the line of scrimmage here. And it's a 5-man protection because they're sending Diggs out, and there's, guys out in the routes there. And so Josh has to know that there's going to be a free rusher here if they do blitz, and it shows like they're going to. And that free rusher is that guy right there, Bentley, right up the middle. And more times than not, Anthony, what? Josh Allen is responsible for that guy. If you only have 5 blockers and they send 5 and the linebacker's the second level, he comes, well, guess what? That 6th guy is the quarterback's responsibility. He stares down Diggs as he goes out of the backfield and Davis, so to the left side of the formation, when really he should be throwing it hot right here to Khalil Shakir. He should be throwing hot to him. Honestly, Josh used to do this in his sleep in 2020 and 2021 to Cole Beasley. He would have immediately shot to Beasley to the top of the screen, the same exact route right there, and he would have been the hot receiver, and he would have gotten the ball. And does he score? Who knows? But it sets up the Bills inside the 5-yard line here instead of Josh kind of scrambling around and almost making a play, but it goes incomplete.
Yeah, he still almost makes a play, like you said, and kind of gets into some of that chaos creation world. At the end, I posted this play on Twitter. We were talking about it earlier. It's a lot of answers coming through of like, yeah, but this, or yeah, but that, or what about this? Like, it's very cut and dry, like you said. The Bills have a 5-man protection. The Patriots bring 6. You have everybody highlighted there. It's a good pocket. The Bills execute individually. That blitzer, that 6th man, that free runner is Josh Allen's responsibility. That is his man. That's the hot hit Shakir. Yep. That's it. Like the long and the short of it. Like there is no, well, yeah, what if he does? Or yeah, but this. This is just basic football. Like you're responsible for that guy. You hit the hot. Gabe Davis is not covered. They're baiting Stefon Diggs because you can even see J.C. Jackson, the far corner on the left. He's waiting for that to get dumped down so he can pounce on it.
Yep,
exactly. And then just hit Shakir. And no one is saying, well, it's not guaranteed he gets a touchdown. First of all, he could make this catch, break a tackle, and get in. But who cares, Eric? If he doesn't, he makes that catch. It's 3rd and 3 and 3rd and 2 instead of being a 3rd and 7, backed up a little bit, and also giving the Pats some further momentum by kind of getting into the backfield and creating some chaos. This is, like you said, this is what Josh Allen used to do in his sleep.
Yeah.
And this isn't a complicated thing, Eric. This is high school.
This is basic. Yeah, this is basic quarterbacking.
Yes.
I hate to be that harsh on them, but this is the basic stuff. This is principle, top 5 principles when it comes to quarterbacking and passing game. It's crazy.
Yeah, this is just regular. Like this is taught at a, you're playing quarter, even at a JV level in high school. Like it's thrown you there. And I want to stop because Rocky Tron says, "Where is the window to throw to Shakir?" You just highlighted it. It's right there. It's wide open. And Shakir, to his credit, also does a really good job. He sees the blitzer. He sits right away.
Yeah,
boom,
eyes on the quarterback. It's crazy. Like, stop making excuses. This is there. He's looking right at him. And these DBs aren't driving on it.
No.
They're sitting at the goal line like teams have been doing when they sent the blitz, sitting at the sticks.
It's frustrating to see this. And then I think you see this and you get the answers that are still like, well, yeah, so what did Dorsey do to screw up Josh? Or what's he doing to not set him up for success? Yeah. Like this right here. And again, we're not saying this because we're Dorsey apologists. We've been very critical of him on this show going back to last year. This is purely on Josh Allen. This is routine 101 football. Hit the hot. That's it. Shakir reads it. Josh needs to read it. And even him seeing like he's looking that way. I don't know what is going on in his brain, what he thought, what he's trying to go for. It seems like he's pressing, but also not. And like you said, that's basic football. That's basic quarterbacking. Hit the hot, done and dusted. Now comparing it to this play here, much different
Oh
situation.
yeah. Oh yeah.
And also something that again ties into what we talked about going back to that Jaguars game.
God damn it. I hate this play.
I know, dude.
I cannot
it's
freaking stand the mesh concept anymore.
everything with mesh
And
just doesn't
I
work.
just can't do it. Whether it's the spacing is always off. They don't see man coverage, which technically more times than not, this is a man coverage beater.
Yes.
But now you're going to add this into it, guys. You're killing me. Stop running this play, Dorsey. This is on Dorsey because this is what they've shown on film. And so, all right, we'll get into it. 2nd and 9 here. This is a 7-yard loss. Mesh concept, tight, formation there. Josh is brought down. And more times than not, the mesh, the hot route right here is usually the running back.
Yes.
It's usually quick outside, but as you guys can see on the snap, watch Duggar jump that. And Josh, he's hit the hot a couple times this year. This time he chooses not to with the free rusher coming at him because Duggar's right there. Smart move. And I will say, okay, the hot's taken away. That's more times than not. That's on Dorsey. Now, I know a lot of people are saying, okay, well, look at all these guys over the middle. There are guys open over the middle. And the spacing is bad because it hasn't quite developed yet. But again, here we go. Look, everyone playing the sticks again. Josh, you're going to throw it out over the middle? You're going to throw it underneath? No, he doesn't. And again, I will give him a leeway on this play because the hot was taken away. And trying to get it to Diggs or Davis and these guys over the middle. It's tough being under pressure with free rushers coming at you. But more times than not, when it comes to percentages on this play, I'm putting this right on Dorsey's doorstep. This was too predictable. And they knew what hot to take away. And that hot was James Cook.
Yeah, I'm in a very similar boat. Like, just again, this goes back to the Jacksonville game. We saw the Jags bait Allen and the Bills offense into these looks, take it away directly, or let them hit it so they could pounce on it, on 3rd and 7 and tackle it for a 2 or 3 yard gain. And I love the job from Duggar. He comes down and then takes that piece away initially. I don't like the concept. I don't like that it's even more so, from a predictable standpoint. You highlight Spencer Brown there with the squeeze. Erik, again, this is something the Jags did. This is something the Bills defense has done to tackles throughout the year. You bring that look from that side. Spencer Brown gets put into a scenario where it's a 2-on-1. He can't block both. So he squeezes down. He takes the inside man, which is what every tackle is taught to do.
Yeah.
And it has Wise coming free off the edge. And, you alluded to it. And this is where I'm at with this play. I don't like the call. I don't like the predictable nature of it. But I also don't like that Josh Allen compounded the problem. I think he could have alleviated some of it by going to the middle. But again, to your point, you got a free runner bearing down on you and somebody just took away your hot. And then, you've also got more pressure coming up like directly through, through the
tough
gut.
game from Morris or from Torrance. I'm sorry.
Yeah. He, Barmore got at him a bunch. That's
clubbed him.
That's that's nasty. Like, and we haven't seen that happen to O'Cyrus Torrance this year. He has been very stout on the inside. The Pats got him a couple times in this game, including this play. But again, this is where it is muddied. Like, this is bad from Dorsey, but it also gets compounded worse by Josh Allen. And at a certain point too, Erik, like, you just need somebody to make a play, whether it's Dorsey with the scheme or whether it's Allen or somebody making a good catch on a tough ball. Like, you need somebody to just step up and make a play in some way. We got to stop real quick. We got a super chat from Carl. Thank you very much, Carl, for the super chat. You're here all the time. We appreciate your continued support. And Carl says, 3 plays that are considered good to beat the blitz are the slip screen, the bubble screen, and the jet sweep. The Bills don't jet sweep anymore and can't run screens. I was very happy the first, play we showed with the Miami check there that they ran that screen as a way to beat the blitz. But that's an aspect, Erik. I mean, this goes back to the time with Dable, whether it's Allen or whatever it is with this offense or how defenses play Josh Allen. They just have not been a good screen team. And that does contribute a little bit to the blitz piece.
And that's the thing. There are 2 different levels from what Carl's talking about here. You're expecting the blitz. I have a play call that can beat the blitz. The stuff we're talking about here are, hey, this is built into every single play. Every single play has a hot.
Yes.
Every single play has a sight adjustment or wide receiver that has to adjust if X player comes.
And the quarterback knows that, and the receiver knows I'm hot.
You have to memorize that. Exactly. And that's why you see Josh get up to the line of scrimmage, and he's pointing out to the second level. He's pointing out, you'll see it later too. He's pointing out to a certain player. He's letting that wide receiver know, hey, we're throwing hot off him. Like, for example, that Bentley play where he came up the middle and Josh didn't, throw it quickly to Shakir. He should have been pointing to him and letting Shakir know, or whoever they considered they hot on that play, which again, we assume it's Shakir based on how much we studied this offense and playbooks we have. Hey, if Bentley comes, my hot is Shakir, I'm throwing to him quickly. They didn't have that. So that's where I worry about that. And I agree. They have never been really a good screen team. A lot of that comes back to Josh Allen and eyes on Josh Allen all the time. That's why they also can't run a lot of bootlegs, naked bootlegs, because there are eyes on Josh Allen. So back to the actual film, Carl. Mesh concept built into this mesh concept. Motherfucker. Built into this is
the mesh concept. The mesh concept is your Newman.
It really is, man. It really is. And it's the new Farrell Brown. So again, the hot here should be James Cook, top of the screen. Free rusher, linebackers coming, right? Free rusher, throw it. Everyone, again, they're just playing deep. Throw it hot to James Cook, put it in his hands right at basically catch it right near the line of scrimmage and have him work into the boundary versus a corner and then live to see another day, and Josh doesn't. And then this one, he tries throwing it over the middle, as that mesh concept and those mesh routes develop, and it goes incomplete. This is pretty simple, Anthony. Swing it out to Cook. He's probably a top 3 target on this team, a top 3 weapon. Just get it into his hands. And
especially on 2nd and 9, like knowing the situation, even if you think the corner is sitting on it and he's going to come flying up, one, I do trust Cook in space to kind of make a move and make something happen. But even if Cook gets blasted right away, okay, so it's what, 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7. But just with how that play developed, it's there. Get it to Cook right away. The hot is there. And he sees it. And again, I don't know why. I don't know if he was still a little gun shy from Jacksonville the week before and potentially throwing this. You see Spillane, you highlighted him there, or not Spillane. That's Micah McFadden. Anytime I see a white linebacker with 41, I just think of Robert Spillane. That is Micah McFadden from Indiana. Comes screaming off the edge there. And even Allen still makes a miss and potentially makes something happen.
Dangerous.
But none of this needs to happen. None of this, him avoiding the pressure, him trying to evade, him trying to make a throw over the middle. Boom, look at the body language. He knows, dude, I should have just thrown it hot. I should have just thrown it to Cook. And that's also, Eric, that's part of the benefit of having James Cook, because he is a weapon in the pass game, and with the ball in his hands, get it to him early, get it to him with a 5-6 yard buffer of space. And now he's one-on-one. I don't care if it's to the short side of the field or not, like it is here. Let him work against a corner who's not a good tackling corner. And he's looking right at it. This is what is concerning as well, because he knows he should take it. Why are you not?
Take the profit.
Just take it. Yeah, phase 1, throw the hot. Phase 3, profit. That's what it is. And it's another example. And again, this is what we're trying to show you all. Sometimes it's Allen, sometimes it's Dorsey, sometimes it's both. It's not just this normal cut and dry piece. Things all connect, but that's what makes it a complicated fix, because it's a complicated problem, although some of it is just simple with taking the hot. Eric, here's another example. This is the one I was alluding to. He pumps to Murray on this one. After in this game, he hit the hot earlier in this game and it wasn't successful. Tyson Campbell came down and closed it. What's also interesting, again, at the end of this play, if you see Latavius Murray's reaction.
Oh, yeah, I'll show it. Yeah.
So just break it down for us again.
Yeah. So again, this is the wave concept. We broke this down again in the Jags film room.
At least it's not much.
And so you get that free rusher again. You're not going to always set the protection correctly. All right. Sometimes you're going to guess wrong, or I shouldn't even say guess. You're going to read the keys incorrectly. And so they essentially slide these guys to the bottom of the screen, but that guy pops out. Muma, the linebacker, pops out, and Josh Allen, the edge rusher, has a free rush at him. So what do you think he should do? Just swing it. Just swing it to Murray. I get it. It's 3rd and 10, but look at all the space as these guys are expanding with those 2 vertical routes. Who knows? Murray's been damn good at this, to be honest. He's been their best player from the running back position when they are throwing it hot. And he's made some big plays and converted some 3rd downs. We saw it in the Patriots game. So swing it out to him. Give him a shot. Especially, hey, maybe he doesn't get the 1st down, but maybe he gets it to right here. And okay, now we have a decision. Do we go for it on 4th down? So get it out to Murray on this play. Instead, he extends a play. They get a holding call. It goes incomplete to Knox. And then as you were talking about at the end of this play, look at Murray.
Knows it.
Mistake.
Just
That's
like,
a
dude,
mistake.
hands on head. He knows it. He knows what's up. He saw the look. I think what's also frustrating about this one too, Eric, we talked about it when we did the Jags film room, like, granted, the hold would have wiped it out anyway, but even with all this, he still almost pulls this play out of his ass and completes it and makes something ridiculous happen.
That's the thing, though, Anthony. That's the thing. Like, there are these struggles, but Josh Allen is that alien that
Yes,
if these type of plays start turning around, what's the conversation about analytics then?
correct. It changes
How much
everything.
does that change things and your feeling and your emotions? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's why a lot of people turn their backs on analytics and what those analytics are saying because of emotions tied to the team. But some of these plays, if these things happen and he starts hitting plays like this, like, they're winning more games. So
Absolutely.
that's why we're saying it's kind of like a silver lining, because you still have Josh Allen, and sometimes he can pull these plays out of his ass.
Yeah, and he can, and he does, more often than not. And it's what's the old, especially with parity in the NFL now, it's what is it like at any given game, like 3 to 5 plays are what decide a football game. And what's just been happening is in these losses, those 3 or 5 plays aren't working out for the Bills. And then in their wins, they're just completely demolishing their opponent and wrecking them. But it's these little pieces that, again, even though he almost pulls this alien play out of his pocket, it doesn't need to get to that. Know the down and distance, know the situation, execute off of it. Nobody's saying that if he checks it down to Murray there, it's a first down, but that's the read, that's the play. You don't have to make it more complicated than it is.
Yeah, and Josh Allen, the last few years, he's been in charge of setting the protection. This is an empty protection. This is only a 4-man rush. And you're going to see a free rusher from the bottom of the screen here. He's going to come free. And Josh, prior to the snap, you see him pointing out this defender. He's pointing out and letting Diggs know, hey, we're throwing hot off of him. So if he inserts, I'm responsible for him. You need to replace him over the middle. Oh, my mouse acted up there. So Diggs is supposed to come over the middle. But the Patriots know this. Again, They know that he wants to throw hot off him. So what they do, they keep this guy back. He doesn't come, but they also choke off this route to the middle of the field. The guy that comes is from the bottom of the screen. So now Josh, again, his eyes are right there. Hit Shakir. Like, hit him. It's 2nd and 9. Hit him. Let him do something after the catch. Especially if you talk about, his ability after the catch. That's one of his strengths, if not the top strength of his. This guy is not even in the picture. So basically, if he catches it and spins this way, I mean, he's got one-on-one right there. So it's just Josh, he needs to understand that, yeah, you're gonna get fooled sometimes, but he's looking right at Shakir right there. It's immediately over there. What are you doing? Throw it.
I don't get it, especially with him like initially setting things to the left in terms of who he IDs. You can see that he's not coming. So, and he knows that because look, he's looking right at him. He's looking right at 3, like he's eyeballing him, and 3 sits and doesn't do anything. So what does he do? He scans to the right. And if you look at the right, Bentley came. Now it's a 3-on-2 and a free runner. Boom, that's it. Like, there is no, why are you hitching? Why are you pulling the ball down? Just fire it. Get it to 3rd and 5 or 3rd and 4. Or again, Eric, like you said, maybe Shakir breaks the tackle and makes something happen. Who knows? But it's just, even with the error in terms of IDing the rush and setting the protection initially, which is exactly your point. That's going to happen. Defenses get paid too. They are actively working to try and fool you and manipulate you with what they're doing in coverage and with what they're doing with their fronts. They are actively trying to make you look like an idiot. They're trying to make you think A is coming when really they're going to bring B. So it's a whole bunch of Jedi mind tricks that's happened on that side of the ball. It's understandable that you are going to get fooled or beat mentally at some standpoint. That's fine. And like you have highlighted there, you get the slide to the left. It doesn't work out. Morse, basically, effectively, Dawkins, McGovern, Morse, and Torrance is 4 versus 2. And then what happens again? Spencer Brown is forced to squeeze. Yep. He has to cram down and squeeze on Bentley, which again creates another free rush for Dietrich Wise, just like it did earlier in the episode that we showed it. Allen just has to hit Shakir, even though he got fooled, which again doesn't mean he's awful. It happens. He's still in position to adjust. He compounds the initial error with another error and mistake. Boom! He's looking right there. He sees the rusher coming. There's a window, there's a lane. He's not obstructed. Shakir sees it, put it on him, get the 3rd and 5, 3rd and 4, or potentially something else. That's it. Like, again, cut and dry. Even though the initial setting was incorrect, that's fine. Don't let that snowball and make another error with it.
Yeah, it just happens too often. So, all right. Hope you guys enjoyed some of the negative. You guys have been clamoring for and questioning, hey, are you going to show that film of him missing guys? So I hope that kind of answered your questions in that, because yes, a lot of this game came down to
I'm sorry, real
Josh.
quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
What looks obstructed? What is obstructed? Shakir is
no.
wide open. You're the same one who just said it earlier. Where's the window to Shakir?
Stop
I'm not
making
doing this again.
excuses.
I
Just
can't
stop
frame
making
it.
excuses. Josh isn't perfect. All right. Josh isn't perfect. And you know, some of these protections, maybe he didn't change it and he should have. We don't know those type of details, but when you see him and calling out those hots and everything, you can get a better idea on, you know, where the mistake was made. And I mean, the eye in sky doesn't lie. He's looking right at the guys. And we have it from multiple end zone angles. Like, there's enough excuses. Some of these plays are going to be on Josh Allen. This one, Josh Allen made the correct play here.
Yes.
All right. So this is our easy loan auto sales, making it look easy. Play of the game. This is James Cook's touchdown, Anthony. 8-yard gain, 3rd and 8. He saw the blitz coming. He saw that extra defender that he's responsible for, and he hits James Cook for the touchdown for the easy loan auto sales, making it look easy. Play of the game. Great stuff from James Cook as well. When you talk about adjusting to this throw, getting his body in position to get yards after the catch and sneak inside the pylon for the touchdown.
You labeled James Cook earlier in the preseason as being slippery, and that's what he is on this play. Like, and also the instantaneous nature of what he does. Like, kudos to Allen for hitting it right away, especially on 3rd and 8, like seeing that pressure, getting it to Cook in space, doing everything that we wanted him to do on several of these other reads earlier in the game. This time he IDs it, he diagnoses, he executes. You have Kyle Duggar highlighted there with the arrow. Duggar comes shooting and he's wide open. Cool. That's Allen's guy. He sees what's up, checks it down. This is what is routine. This is what it looks like. Good job,
This is
Josh.
basic quarterbacking. Yeah.
Correct. This isn't, for as much as we, kind of knocked him earlier for like, that's basic, you got to do it. We're kind of patting him on the back here, but we really shouldn't be as much. This is just basic. Like, this is football. This is easy. He makes the play. But what Cook does, that little bit of elusiveness in space for him to make the catch, to open up to the inside, make the catch, then get upfield. And look how he changes his surface area to reduce how much he can be tackled. He doesn't stay completely square. He turns, gives that back, dips the shoulder, also kind of moves his hips a little bit, shows some ankle flexion, gets away from Jabril Peppers. Yeah, it's real pretty. And then he finishes there by the goal line. This was an important play for the Bills. So good on Josh for recognizing it and getting it hot to Cook. And then, good on Cook for getting that touchdown and making the play. And Cook did make it look easy. And of course, he made it look easy. Just like easy loan auto sales makes it easy for you to walk away happy and satisfied when it comes to anything and everything you need with your car, regardless of your credit situation. Easy Loan can help you get behind the wheel and on the road to better credit. All of their vehicles include a 2-year, 24,000-mile warranty, and they have 3 locations in Buffalo, Lockport, and Niagara Falls. They can get you driving today. Go to easyloanauto.com to start your accelerated approval, and you can also find that link in our episode show notes, whether here on YouTube or whichever podcasting app or platform you're listening to this show on.
Oh, awesome comment here. Serge says, I've learned more through your breakdowns in the last couple of years than I have watching this team in the last 30. Appreciate you guys. Man, that's humbling. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Why we do it, right, Anthony? That's why we do it. We try to kind of give you guys the knowledge, the little knowledge that we know about this game and some of the basic stuff. But also, if you're interested in learning more, we try to take it to that next level as well. We appreciate that donation, but more importantly, that comment. That's very humbling. Thank you.
Yeah, it's the culmination of all of it. Like we said earlier, like just being here is awesome. And then the donation on top of it is awesome. And then the comment along with it is awesome. And yeah, thank you so much, Serge. Also, thank you, Aiden, your comment earlier saying thanks, for always bringing the quality content every week. We sincerely appreciate it. And like you said, Eric, like that makes it all worth it, even though we do enjoy grinding the tape because we're film junkies and addicts. But it is pretty awesome to have that level of appreciation. So thank you very much. And now we move on to another positive piece, Eric, with the real estate rewind. This is, man, just Jonathan just keeps crushing it with the real estate rewinds that he gets.
know.
And this one's a great one. You know, Allen does a good job hanging in. We see a ridiculous play from an awareness standpoint by Stefon Diggs. This was a really big moment in this game and a really awesome play to break down.
Yeah, and once again, we're giving Josh Allen and the offense kudos for understanding that the blitz is coming and hanging in there. I'll show you from the end zone angle, hanging in there versus the blitz, standing in there and making that throw to Diggs, and not an easy one, obviously, and great play after the catch by Diggs. But they're bringing the house. You got free rushers coming everywhere. Look at Duggar, but more importantly, Peppers coming off the edge, full bore. I mean, he's coming 100 miles an hour right down the pike. And then you see Josh just stand in there. He kind of drops his pads, which is interesting. He's like he's bracing. You see him drop his knees right there. He drops his hips like he's bracing for the hit. He knows the hit is coming. He's just got to stand in there versus this blitz and pressure and deliver that throw. And it's just one hell of a strike from Josh Allen to Stefon Diggs. Once again, this real estate rewind segment is brought to you by Jonathan Miller of Metro Roberts Realty. Awesome stuff, especially from this angle, Anthony.
Yeah, absolutely. To be able to see him, you can kind of get like the feel of him kind of staring this, right down the pipe or right down the barrel, and seeing what's happening. I love the point you brought up about the knees. Like you can see him knowing that hit is going to come, and he braces himself and he's just waiting for Diggs to break. This is a really good job, even for the Bills kind of gumming it up a little bit, knowing that they're heavily outnumbered when it comes to how many are rushing, versus that protection piece. And we get Latavius Murray stepping up and cutting off Juwan Bentley a little bit. The inside of the interior of the old line gums it up enough, and Allen just fires a rope to Diggs. And again, bracing himself, knows he's going to take the hit. We don't see this as much anymore because quarterbacks can't get hit. So there's not that appreciation for it, but he gets popped on this one, and it's nice to see him just stand, right there in the kill box and make that throw. And then again, the ridiculous awareness from Diggs to make the sliding catch, but then to get up and pop up and realize I haven't been touched down. I'm going to make this play. And it was a big moment for this team. They marched right down, scored the touchdown. So a tremendous play to be our real estate rewind. Again, presented by Jonathan Miller of Metro Roberts Realty. Jonathan uses cutting-edge technology to sell your home faster. Professional photographs, a 3D virtual tour, drone photos and videos, all of that are included with each listing at no extra charge. He loves working with buyers and sellers in all price ranges. He donates a portion of every commission from each sale to help rescue an animal, which I love. His phone number and contact information can be found in the episode show notes, whether here on YouTube or whichever podcasting app or platform you are listening to this show on.
Yeah, awesome segment. I wanted to end with some two good plays, and again showing Josh Allen adjusting to the blitz and coverage, and
it's not all bad.
Hanging in there. It's not all bad. Again, it's not that he doesn't do these things. It just when you need to do it consistently. You need to stay in there and hang in there, and make the correct decisions when teams send the blitz. And he's gonna have to do it because teams are gonna continuously send it to him, and we're gonna see it. 100% gonna see it tomorrow night against the Bucs.
Absolutely. Eric, we got one more super chat. Lord Corvax here joining us and gave the donation and then followed it up with the comment coming through saying, keep doing what you do. It's technical and not toxic or one-dimensional. Facts are very interesting. That's all we deal with here, whether it's, the visual facts or the data and statistical facts. We appreciate the hell out of you for that. And yeah, Eric, that's a great setup into, the game tomorrow night against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is a team that is third in blitz percentage on the year. They are second in blitz percentage on third downs. They have a good front. They have fast and attack-minded linebackers with Levante David and Devin White, and they are fueled and driven by a coach who loves to bring pressure and get creative with it. So it's nice that we have the opportunity to work on a short week so we can potentially get the bad taste out of the New England loss out of our mouths, but also the opportunity to get back on the horse against a team that will present these similar looks. And we can kind of get an immediate sense of, has Josh, has Dorsey, has this offense started to course correct for these things? Because we're going to see it right out of the gate. Like if on the first drive, the first and second down, you get the third and long, you're going to see the Buccaneers bring pressure. You're going to see them get creative. And even when they're not rushing 5 or more, they're bringing sims, they're bringing creepers. They are going to attack. We're going to find out early if the Bills are ready to handle these types of looks and what they've corrected for.
Yeah, they will send anyone and everyone. And, their linebackers, someone, Pete just mentioned Levante David. Yeah, he's still him. He's still freaking really good. Go back and watch the game against the Lions and what he did to Sam Laporta.
Yeah, watch he's covering Laporta down the field.
I'm all for Kincaid's moment to shine. I don't know if it's this week if David is assigned to him because David's on his game right now. But yeah, they can bring several guys, and they have so many reps by a lot of the veterans there in that defense, and they're aggressive, and they can show one thing and bring another, and show one player and bring a different one. So it's a multiple defense, especially if you get into those third and longs, which have given the Bills issues at times. And that's why they have to stay, get up early, obviously try to get up early and catch them in some of those coverages that are super complex, but there's a small bust because of what the offense is showing. You want to get up early, but more importantly, they have to stay in that third down and short range. They got to be in 3rd and 1 and 3. They got to be 3rd and 1 to 4 because they're one of the best teams when it comes to that. I think they're number 2 in converting that. So staying in manageable third down situations is key. And I'm not saying run the ball. In fact, I'm saying open it up to the point where even though Josh is hurt, open it up, because that's what they did in the second half against this team a few years ago. That was one of those talking points that season where they came out and they lost, but they came out and said, no, we want to play our type of football, and they let it all hang out. I mean, they were calling some huge plays down the field. They're calling quarterback, QB bash, dart. They were calling everything. This was the game back then that they busted out everything in the playbook, and that's what they need to do tomorrow night. They need to get it back on the field. And I know Josh appears to be injured still. Leave it all out there. Put it all out there. Open up the playbook. And get up early to help that defense that we talked about, and to get that taste back in this offenses, especially the offensive side of the ball's mouth, where hey, we got that swag, because they have playmakers, and they have the tools necessary to be the type of offense that continuously puts up 30 points, not has stinkers for half a game. So tomorrow night is, I don't want to say it's a must win, but for the offense, they need to come out crisp at home against this team.
Yeah, just in general, but especially like you said, with what the defense is dealing with from an injury standpoint, the offense has to start to kind of pick it up a little bit and stop screwing around and stop with these mental errors and this schematic nonsense. And again, it's a bit of everything. It's individual execution. It's some initial design and planning, all of these pieces. They need to stop with it. They need to get back to who they are. Mix in. Don't lose the efficiency. Don't lose your curveball and the changeup, but get back to more of the fastball and be able to work all 3 pitches and be able to affect everything. And that's where this team needs to be. I said something on Twitter earlier in the week. I compared it to a team that wanted to reduce strikeouts and hit for average. So they started hitting a bunch of singles, but the problem is they're not hitting as many doubles and triples and homers. They're sprinkling in some doubles every now and again. So they're hitting for average. They've reduced their strikeouts, but their slugging percentage just dropped significantly. Get back to some of that slugging percentage. Hit some more of those pieces that'll allow this offense some more breathing room so you can continue to work underneath with the run or the pass or whichever you see fit. This offense needs to start hitting, not just for themselves, but to also help the defense.
And and I want to talk about that real quick before we get out of here and you pull double duty and
I know.
Go to disguise coverage next, guys. Tune in. Anthony's gonna go right through basically.
I know.
The talking point this week, again, Nate, he's also kind of spearheading this, is the complementary football thing. That's what they've been preaching, but I feel like most fans don't understand what that actually means. Complementary football does immediately. I feel like most fans think that's balance. No. Complementary football is, for example, this exact situation. The defense has got a ton of injuries, and they have to play a certain way. And a lot of times it's riskier, it's more aggressive, and they're going to give up some explosive plays. Well, to offset that, to complement that, you got to play from a different script on the offensive side of the ball. You have to get up. You have to get up 10, 14 points, multiple possessions to put the pressure on the opposing offense to help your defense out. I just feel like fans misunderstand what complementary football means. It doesn't mean balance. It means balancing out the other units on the team.
I like that. My go-to example of complementary football is those Peyton Manning Colts teams where their defense was usually not good, but the offense was 100 miles an hour, and they would get up on teams, and opposing offenses were like, well, now we got to score. And that fit the Colts defense because Dwight Freeney and Robert Mathis were just allowed to be
Bobby
unleashed.
Sanders back D, like, stop.
Bob Sanders, no coincidence, I don't think, for any, I mean, offense is offense, but for the defense wins championship crowd, it's no coincidence that Peyton Manning's only ring in Indianapolis came the year that Bob Sanders won defensive MVP in the entire NFL and defensive player of the year. Conversation for another time. But yeah, that majority of those Colts defenses were not good on the back end. They had Freeney, they had Mathis, but they'd get up 21-7 or 24-10 or 21-3 or something like that. And offenses on the other side were like, oh, now we got to pass the ball. And you're staring down the pike at Dwight Freeney and Robert Mathis, and it fit that whole piece. That's an excellent point when it comes to that complementary football aspect. And that's what this team needs to do. It's just the reality of the situation. This defense, based on what they've got from a roster standpoint, in terms of injuries, this is not going to be the defense that they were these first several weeks where they looked like arguably the best defense in the NFL. And that's understandable. You don't have some of your best players, and they've lost some of their best players. And not only have they lost some of their best players, those players play positions that are critically important to this defense. And they're and the people behind them aren't mitigating their absence enough, which is fine. It's hard to replace all pro dudes. Like, that's not a regular thing. But what you need to do, you got to course correct for it on the other side of the ball. And that's where those eyes are going to start to turn to in terms of seeing what the Bills do. I love that you mentioned the disguise coverage piece. So for those who don't know, disguise coverage was not last night. Had some life conflicts. I will be going live with disguise coverage pretty much right after the film room is done. It'll be going live at about 9:05. I'm going to be breaking down a specific piece of this game, and it is going to tie into that Blitz piece. I got a bunch of film on the Buccaneers. Eric, you mentioned that Lions game. The Lions are a really good offense, despite what happened against Baltimore this past weekend, with a very good offensive line. So I'm going to show you guys what Tampa Bay did to confuse the protections. Cool. Also, Kalijah Kancey gets the ball out in that game against Detroit, somebody who I loved coming out of Pitt. So it'll be nice to just put that piece into perspective. Got some advanced metrics and film. Shock. That'll be coming on that. So I know. So everybody, go. So take a bathroom break, get a beverage, and then join me right back here on the channel at 9:05 for disguise coverage going live. But Eric, as we kind of broken everything down here, what further thoughts, if any, do you have when it comes to the rest of this week, going forward, this team, high level, niche, detail pieces? What do you got for the people before we ride out here?
No, I just want the Bills to leave it all out there. I think we did that tonight, and I hope you guys, got some value from that and some educational, value from that as well. We appreciate everyone tuning in. And after disguise coverage, if you want more Bills content, get to the Cover One YouTube channel. We have a ton of shows and video content. I did an entire breakdown on Dalton Kincaid from that game. So go ahead and take a look at that. And I pulled some, video from prior games, how they had tried to get him involved and how they eventually did. So we appreciate all the support and engagement. You guys are awesome tonight. I know these are tough film room, breakdowns to take in. Like when you lose, especially when you lose in that manner to that type of team in the division. But we do appreciate you guys coming here and craving that film and education.
Absolutely. And before anybody leaves or, dips out, if you're joining us live, if you haven't already, please, and thank you. Drop a like on this video. It goes a sincerely long way towards helping us to track and trend in front of more eyes and ears. So please drop a like on this video. If you are watching post live here on YouTube, that's cool too. Please drop a like on this video. Please subscribe to the Cover One Film Room here on YouTube. And while you're at it, subscribe to the whole entire Cover One channel. Like Eric said, we have you covered literally pretty much every single day of the week, especially if the Bills play on a Sunday. We have you covered every single day of the week when it comes to Bills content in every way, shape, and form. We got something for everybody depending on what you're looking for and what level of analysis and detail you want. We got you covered here on this brand. If you're listening to this show on one of the podcasting apps or platforms, that's cool too. Please rate and review and subscribe to the Cover One Film Room, whether you're on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or Google, whatever have you. And again, thank you to everyone for joining us live tonight. Thank you very much for the kind words and the support in the comments. We see it, we recognize it, we greatly appreciate it. Thank you very much to Arterius, Brandon, Save a Whale Rider running back, Carl, Ebb Tide, Surge, and Lord Corvax for your super chats and your monetary donations. Again, your presence is awesome. The comments are awesome, and then the monetary donation is the kind of that cherry on top. Like, as Erik mentioned multiple times, it's all very humbling. We appreciate you folks more than you will possibly ever know. But that'll do it for us here in the Cover One film room. So for myself, Anthony Prohaska, for Erik Turner, that'll do it for us. Go Bills against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers tomorrow on Thursday. We will see you next week. Again, keep an eye out on the channel for breakdowns and pieces following the Bills game against the Buccaneers. We got the post-game show with Greg and Aaron tomorrow night, and then I'm sure you'll get some videos and content over the coming days before next week officially goes live and it's on to Cincinnati. But until then, we hope you and your family and friends and loved ones are all doing well and staying safe. Be kind to one another. Take care of one another. We will see you on the next episode of the Cover One Film Room. And until then, Godspeed, and as always, go Bills.